Imagine a road so high it rises above the clouds. A road so extreme entire mountains had to be carved open to make space. This isn't fantasy, it's real, and it changed two countries forever. Welcome to the Karakoram Highway, a 1,224-kilometer stretch of road that defies gravity, weather, and geopolitics. But calling it just a highway misses the bigger picture. In both China and Pakistan, it's known by a more powerful name, the Friendship Highway. Built through the deadly altitudes of the Karakoram Range, home to glaciers, earthquakes, and some of the world's most lethal peaks, this road stands as more than just an engineering achievement. It represents endurance, sacrifice, and how two nations facing global isolation and impossible challenges chose to carve a future together through ice and stone. But here's the real question. Why would China and Pakistan risk lives and spend decades building a road through one of Earth's harshest places? Why does this single road still matter so deeply, not just as infrastructure, but as a strategic lifeline and geopolitical pivot? To understand, we have to rewind to a time of Cold War tension, rising rivalries, and a daring idea that would connect mountains, mines, and markets like never before. The 1960s were turbulent across Asia. India and Pakistan were locked in deep conflict, having fought wars in 1947 and again in 1965. At the same time, China had broken with the Soviet Union and was looking to form new allies elsewhere. For Pakistan, this was a critical moment. Surrounded by adversaries and cut off from regional trade, it needed a strong partner. China, too, was isolated. The United States had imposed containment policies, the Soviets had become hostile, and the narrow Strait of Malacca, a key sea route, left China vulnerable to naval blockades. That's when Pakistan came to China with a bold idea. Build a road, not just any road, but one that would cross the towering Karakoram Mountains and directly link China's western Xinjiang region to northern Pakistan. This road would give China a shortcut to the Arabian Sea and give Pakistan a direct route to one of the world's biggest economies. This wasn't just about roads or trade. It was about survival, strategy, and trust. In March 1966, inside the halls of Beijing, the two nations signed a deal that would forever reshape their relationship. The project was named 16001, a code name as secretive as it was ambitious. It wasn't just infrastructure, it was a declaration. Even in a world divided by war and ideology, China and Pakistan would blaze their own trail together through some of the world's most hostile terrain. Constructing the Karakoram Highway wasn't just difficult, it was nearly impossible. Spanning over 1,224 kilometers, the road cuts straight through the Karakoram Range, home to K2, the world's second highest peak. This wasn't a scenic highway. It was a death zone. Picture trying to build a road where the terrain includes landslides, avalanches, and glaciers the size of cities. The region is constantly hit by earthquakes. The weather flips from scorching heat to sub-zero blizzards in a single day. For half the year, the route disappears under snow. And yet, over 22,000 Chinese workers and thousands of Pakistani engineers and laborers set out to defy nature. They worked at altitudes above 4,000 meters, where the air is so thin even breathing is a struggle. Altitude sickness was common. Some went blind, others collapsed, many never returned. They blasted through rock with over 8,000 tons of explosives. They dug tunnels by hand. They built bridges over wild glacial rivers. They lived in tents on icy cliffs, surviving on canned food. Fresh vegetables were a luxury. Still, they pressed on. But the price was devastating. Over 700 people died during construction. 88 Chinese workers are buried along the highway itself. Their graves are still maintained by locals, their stories etched into the mountains they helped conquer. This wasn't just a construction project, it was a test of human will, measured in time, in struggle, and in lives lost. And somehow, against every odd, they made it. By 1978, after more than 10 years of relentless effort, the Karakoram Highway was finished. When the Karakoram Highway officially opened in 1978, it was clear this was no ordinary road. It was hailed around the world as a marvel of engineering and global cooperation. Let's break down the scale. Millions of cubic meters of earth and rock were moved. 1,224 kilometers of road were paved. 24 major bridges and 70 smaller ones were built. 1,700 culverts were added to manage unpredictable water flows, 8,000 tons of explosives, and 80,000 tons of cement were used in an active earthquake zone. But beyond the stats, the impact was transformational. For Pakistan, the road connected remote mountain regions like Gilgit-Baltistan to the country's heartland. Trade routes opened, tourism grew, isolated villages gained access to markets, schools, and hospitals. For China, the highway was a breakthrough. It gave China a land route into South Asia, bypassing maritime choke points like the Strait of Malacca. It also sent a powerful message. Two countries often excluded from global alliances could build something massive together. They didn't have to wait for permission. They could lead on their own. Publications like National Geographic called it one of the wildest, most stunning roads on the planet. To this day, adventurers and cyclists rank it among the world's greatest road trips. But the most important legacy of the highway? It laid the groundwork for something much bigger. Decades after its completion, the Karakoram Highway isn't a forgotten project. It's more relevant than ever. Why? Because it forms the backbone of China's Global Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. At the center of this vision is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, known as CPEC. It's a multi-billion-dollar effort to modernize infrastructure, build power plants, and expand trade networks. And it all begins with the Karakoram Highway. What started as a narrow, high-altitude route is now being transformed into a modern expressway, ready to handle the economic future of two nations. Engineers have reinforced the highway's riskiest stretches with new tunnels, bypasses to avoid avalanche zones, and real-time safety systems that monitor traffic and weather. But the real transformation isn't just physical, it's strategic. For China, the upgraded KKH now runs straight to Gwadar, a port on Pakistan's Arabian Sea coast. That means goods can travel from Xinjiang directly to the Indian Ocean, bypassing the congested US-monitored Strait of Malacca, which currently handles more than 60% of China's oil imports. It's a geopolitical shift. Now imagine this. A shipping container leaving Western China doesn't need to travel 12,000 kilometers by sea. Instead, it crosses Pakistan by land and reaches open waters in a fraction of the time. This isn't just about efficiency. It's about security, resilience, and leverage. Pakistan gains too: massive infrastructure investment, job creation, new energy plants reducing historic blackouts, and strategic visibility on the world stage. Roads are expanding, industrial zones are rising, and electricity is flowing where it once faltered. But the deeper story is this. China is building a new kind of power, not with tanks or warships, but with roads, railways, and ports. And it all builds on the legacy of the Karakoram Highway, a Cold War alliance now transformed into a modern engine of regional connection. But the Karakoram Highway isn't just about stone and steel. It's about people, stories, and shared traditions. While governments discuss trade and policy, real connections have been forming for decades along this road. Every year, Chinese tourists travel through the Hunza Valley, amazed by its beauty and hospitality. Pakistani students head to China for education, often the first in their families to go abroad. Mountaineers from both nations climb peaks like Pasu and Ulter together, literally trusting each other with their lives. For locals along the KKH, the highway isn't just useful, it's transformative. It brings supplies to markets, tourists to homes, and patients to hospitals that were once unreachable. It's also become a symbol of pride. You'll find murals, songs, and poetry in Pakistani towns celebrating the Karakoram Highway, not just as a gift from China, but as a symbol of strength and shared future. And then there's the quiet, solemn reminder. Near Gilgit lies a cemetery where 88 Chinese workers are buried, men who lost their lives building this road. Their graves are marked with both Chinese and Pakistani flags, visited by school groups and diplomats alike. To both nations, these workers are remembered not just as casualties, but as heroes. The Karakoram Highway is a living monument to sacrifice, solidarity, and the belief that infrastructure can carry more than cargo. It can carry memory, meaning, and hope. Even the strongest roads face new threats. The Karakoram Highway, built with human grit and loss, now faces challenges from forces no one can fully control. Climate change is reshaping the very mountains the highway runs through. Glaciers are melting rapidly, forming unstable lakes and creating zones vulnerable to sudden floods. Landslides have already wiped out entire sections of the road. In some spots, maintenance crews must rebuild the same stretch multiple times a year. Add to that the earthquake risk. This region is among the most seismically active on the planet. Tremors don't just shake nerves. They fracture roads, crack tunnels, and destroy bridges. But both China and Pakistan are not backing down. In recent years, they've launched cutting-edge upgrades. Satellite monitoring systems now track soil movement and seismic shifts in real time. Elevated causeways, reinforced embankments, and avalanche barriers have been added to protect key sections. Even environmental scientists from both nations are collaborating, studying glacier behavior, refining forecasting, and future-proofing the road's design. Because keeping this highway open is about more than transportation. It's about stability in a region where everything else can change overnight. This is a race against time, terrain, and temperature, but it's also a test of resolve. Can two nations adapt and evolve together in a world that's constantly shifting? So far, the answer is yes. The Karakoram Highway endures, and so does the partnership that made it possible. Think about it. What does it really take to build something that slices through glaciers, defies earthquakes, and climbs into the sky, all in the name of friendship? The Karakoram Highway isn't just pavement and pillars. It's the story of two countries that dared to dream of a road where no road should exist, forged in Cold War fire, tested by nature's fury, and reborn in a new era of global transformation. It reminds us, in a divided world, some alliances aren't formed in conference rooms, they're carved into mountains. If this journey moved you, if you saw the wonder in the engineering, the heart in the sacrifice, or the vision in the strategy, don't let the story stop here. Like this video to support thoughtful storytelling. Share it with someone who needs to see the human side of geopolitics. Subscribe if you want more into the people, projects, and places shaping our world's future. Until then, stay curious, stay connected, and remember. Some roads don't just link places, they link destinies.